It's time for this week's episode of Brandon Sports Talk, featuring in-depth interviews from those who are trending in the world of athletics. And now, here's the host of Brandon Sports Talk, Brandon Pate.
Welcome back to Brandon Sports Talk. In today's episode, I have the privilege to interview the Belmont Abbey's head acrobat and tumbling coach, Coach Emily Powers. How are you doing today?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing good. Can you talk about how you knew that you wanted to get involved in coaching college acrobat and tumbling?
Yes. So growing up, I grew up actually doing competitive cheerleading. Acrobatics and tumbling is a new sport, and it actually started at the college level and trickled down. And it still hasn't trickled down into being a full high school sport. So we're still mainly at the college level. So I grew up doing competitive cheer and then switched over to acro and tumbling in college. Growing up, my dad is a high school football coach. Two of my three brothers are high school football coaches. My grandpa was a football coach. So I grew up in this family of coaches, and after cheer practice, I would walk over to the field and watch my dad coach, and then we'd go home. And that was like our everyday routine. So going into college, I wanted to coach. At that point, I thought I wanted to coach cheer because that's all I knew. That's what I loved doing. And then I got into the sport of acro and tumbling, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is completely different. A lot of fun, and it was just pure the athletic side of cheer that I like. So I was like, all right, this is what I want to do. And acro and tumbling, it's growing every day. I think a school just added yesterday. That's the 39th in the country that has the sport now. And so it grows really fast. So being straight out of college, I got an assistant position right away. I was only there for, I think, 6 months. And then I got the head coaching position. And that's just kind of how it works in acro and tumbling, is you just like jump right into it, just fresh out of college, because there's so many schools adding and there's only so many people that have done the sport and then want to coach the sport. So it just kind of happened that it all happened really quickly after college. And I ended up here and I've been here 4 years since.
What was it like competing at King's University?
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. I was on the first ever team there. When I was there, there were 10 schools in the country between Division I and Division III that offered the sport of acro and tumbling. So those first few years, we traveled a long way for all of our meets. So we played at the University of Oregon. We went out to Azusa, California. We went to Wisconsin. And that was a lot of fun, getting that experience of competing against all different levels. But also getting that experience of starting the program. So my freshman year was the first year of the program. And usually when you come into a program, you have your upperclassmen that tell you, this is the ropes, this is the culture, this is what you need to be doing. And we came in and automatically were the leaders of the team because we were the people on the team, So, straight away, we had to decide, like, how are we going to lead the next classes that come in? How are we going to set this program up so that it's successful after we leave? And honestly, it was just completely different than anything I had done before, but so rewarding and so much fun.
What was the feeling like of, obviously, you said you were the first at King's to ever tumble an acrobat. What was that feeling like of being the first?
It's really surreal because forever you're always going to be the first. And we'll still go back to King for alumni weekends, and the girls on the team know that we were the first ones that came in. And it's just weird because I think in our time we had the first All-American on our team. We had qualified for the national tournament. We were the first ones to qualify for event finals. And so it's just being that first ever and knowing that you're setting the tone, you're setting the legacy, and that's going to be remembered for years to come.
How was it like, obviously, going to the national championship and tumbling athletically and being the first one to go to the national championship?
Yeah. So going to the national championship was awesome every year that we were there and we qualified. It is just a different experience coming from the cheer background, where going to a national championship, you're competing against so many teams at one time, where ours was the same as basketball. It's bracket style. You're just playing one other team and, making it to the next day. And like I said earlier, we compete against Division I, Division III, Division II. King was a Division II. So usually we're going up against Baylor, we're going up against Oregon. And it's really kind of cool to see your competitiveness against a Division I school. But going to those national tournaments, I mean, was always the goal for us at King, because those were the years before we were in a conference, before there was a conference championship. So that was the end goal, was to qualify for the national tournament. And that's kind of what we're trying to do here at Belmont Abbey now, is trying to get that in place to where now that is the goal for us as well.
What was it like going to West Liberty to become the grad assistant?
Yeah, West Liberty was an experience. That was their first team ever as well. So I was underneath Coach Treasure Fields, which now she is the director of operations for Baylor acrobatics and tumbling. So I was underneath her. She had just started, I think, in January. And then I came in once I graduated in May. And we talked about it the other day. We were like, we were just two young coaches who neither of us had ever recruited before. Neither of us have ever built a team before. We had never coached a team. So it was just a lot of learning and just bouncing ideas back and forth, seeing what worked, seeing what didn't work. And I mean, we went through the ups and the downs of having the first year struggles. But I'm so grateful for that opportunity. Number one, because I met her. And still to this day, I'll call her and she kind of like levels me out a little bit and someone I can still bounce a lot of things off of. And she's been a great mentor. So I was honestly really lucky to have gone and coached underneath her before I came here.
What were some things that you did during your time as a grad assistant to help you where you are now as a head coach?
Yeah, I think number one thing was recruiting. Coming in, you just have no idea. You're like, how do I even find these people? How do I even give a campus tour? How do I sell them on this college? And so just finding what worked there and trying to bring that in to what works here. And just honestly, just gaining the confidence. At this point, I'm only a few years older than the ladies that I'm recruiting, and I'm telling their parents, yes, trust me to take care of your child and to coach them. So having the confidence to go out there and prove that you are a good coach, that you can take care of them and that they should come here. That confidence building was a lot while I was there, because going in, I was like, I'm just the same as them. I'm still in college, I feel like, So I think that was a huge part of being at West Liberty.
We're during your time there, and as you talked about, obviously being in the same age, what was that like? And what were some of the challenges like, where it was like, okay, I'm the same age as y'all, but I'm also still a coach?
Yeah, it was really difficult. I was a graduate assistant, so I actually lived on campus as well, and we're taking classes just like they were. And the way that it was set up back then, I was actually suite mates with a freshman. She wasn't on the team, but she was just a freshman at the college. And I was like, I'm in a completely different place in my life than you are as a freshman in college. And I'm trying to be professional and be an assistant coach, and not be seen as a student. But in the school's eyes, you're a student. In the coaching eyes, you're a coach. So it was difficult balancing that. And you would see them around campus and just trying to be being friendly, but also like drawing that line of I am your coach. If you're going to do something wrong, don't do it in front of me, like just trying to make that distinction of, yes, I live down the hall from you, but please do not come bang on my door at 3 a.m. to go out. Like, that's not happening, kind of thing. So it was wild. And it taught me a lot of making that distinction, and that helped a lot with, determining that age gap and knowing that there is respect there, as well as getting along just as people.
How did it feel to become the first head coach at the Abbey for acrobat and tumbling?
Oh, that was awesome. Like I said, I had only been assistant coaching for like 6 months at that point. And I heard that Belmont Abbey was opening up the acro and tumbling program. I had talked to a few people in the acro association about the position coming open, and tried to get them to say a good word for me, put me in the pool to be the head coach here. But it was surreal. Like, I can remember when our athletic director, Stephen Miss, called me and he was like, hey, you need to start looking for places to live. I was like, what? I need to start what? I got the job. Like, I was just so so shocked. And it was honestly like, they're the only people that have ever made me a head coach. They were the first ones to make me a head coach. And I just knew, like, I drove up for my interview. I came the night before and I drove on campus, and it was just a feeling that you get, and you're like, okay, this is home. Like, it's such a strange feeling, but you get it when you come on campus. And still to this day, our recruits say they get that same feeling when they come on campus. And I just knew, I was like, I know I'm going to get this job, and I haven't even interviewed yet, because I just know this is where I'm supposed to be.
What was the feeling like when you finally got that call that you became the head coach at the Abbey?
Yeah, that feeling is just insane. Like, it's one of those that you just like can't believe it. You start like shaking because you're so excited. And then reality sets in, and immediately I just was like, okay, I need to start recruiting. I need to start doing this. And I like haven't even gone on a campus tour yet. Like, I haven't even seen everything that I need to see or learn everything that I need to learn. And I was just so excited. I was just so ready to get on the ground and get running, and start building this program.
Can you talk about, of course, the culture that you've built for the Abbey?
Yeah. So culture is big here. I always say that is what is going to determine champions, is the culture. Coming in, I knew that I didn't want to focus just on athletics. I wanted to focus on their academics. I wanted to focus on them as people. And so a lot of what we started doing in the early years was, we have a list of core values, and we'll do different activities with each core value. So some of them are like positivity. So we'll do some activities that some are trustworthy. So we'll do a bunch of trust exercises and just kind of touch on those topics of becoming a better person as you're becoming a better athlete, a better student, and how all those correlate together. I knew that I wanted that to be a focus. Now going into the 4th year of the program, we kind of wanted to switch the mindset a little bit and still have that foundation of, we're building more than just being an athlete. But we wanted to start building a championship culture. Whereas in the past, it was like, oh, we're building a team. We're building a team. And I was like, guys, we've built the team now. Like, you are the team now. And really going into that belief aspect of it, and really cultivating that belief that you can go out there, you can compete well, you can win, and trying to get that mindset back. Whereas before, they didn't have that mindset. And then we've made a shift this year too, of just being really intentional about our culture, and everything. So over the summer, the ladies read Power of a Positive Team by John Gordon. And every Tuesday, first semester, we had what they called book club, but really just a team meeting that we discuss topics in that book. And it's not just about being positive all the time, because no one's positive all the time, but really in those negative moments, being able to address it and to fix it and to turn it around. And as John Gordon says, feed the positive dog and not the negative dog. So we're being really intentional with that. And we've continued to do these weekly team meetings, talking about, areas that we're slacking, areas that we're doing great in, and just trying to stay on track throughout the duration of season.
What are some of the things that you've accomplished so far as head coach?
Yeah. So first and foremost, just building the roster up. We started with 7 athletes my first year, and now we're at 30. So within the span of, 3 or 4 years, we've grown to be a complete roster. And we're going to continue to grow in that way. I would say the next thing is, this past season, the 2021 season, Conference Carolinas added acrobatics and tumbling as a sport within the conference. So we're a part of that conference, which means now we have a conference tournament. So our goal that year is qualify for the conference tournament, be one of the top 4 in our conference that get to go to the tournament. And we were that 4th seed last year. So that was a huge accomplishment, being that 4th seed as the youngest team that was in the top 4. So that was amazing. And then in acrobatics and tumbling, we have also event finals. So you have your team final in the conference championship, then you have event final. So each and every event that you do during a meet can win a conference championship. And last year, huge accomplishment, we won 3 of those. So we won our toss heat and 2 tumbling heats. which really just showed the team we're heading in the right direction.
What does a typical meet look like for acrobat and tumbling?
A typical meet, you want to think similar to track and field, where there's events, and then there's heats within those events. And that's how it is for acrobatics and tumbling. We have 6 different events. Then we have 3 to 6 heats within those events. And that's how you compete. And it's just you and one other team. And this is like so this team will come out, they'll compete. And then the judges will score, and then we'll go out and compete. The judges will score, and you literally just go back and forth like that through all 6 events, through all of those heats. And that's how a meet works.
What does a typical game day look like on the acrobat side for the Abbey?
Yeah, typical game day is a lot of fun. It's different than cheer and gymnastics, which is where all of our athletes come in from. Gymnastics meets, no one's yelling at the top of their lungs, and it's really just your family that's coming. Cheer, you're competing for like 2.5 minutes, and then you get off the floor and that's it. And so it's just completely different game day environment, where we usually do have a student section. We do have the family that comes to the meets. We have community people that come to the meets, but we pull a large crowd, because watching acrobatics and tumbling is insane when you're watching people throw each other in the air and they're flipping and spinning, and looks more like the circus than anything else. But game day it's a lot of fun because of the environment that the students.
Who are some teams that you face in your conference?
Some teams that we face in our conference. Is that
Mhm.
Yeah. So like I mentioned earlier, we're a member of Conference Carolinas. So we'll play every single year those same teams. We play everyone once at least in our conference. The teams in our conference are King, where I went, Limestone in South Carolina, Converse in South Carolina, Lander in South Carolina, a lot of South Carolina, Coker, and then here in North Carolina we have Mars Hill and Chowan, and then Emmanuel down in Georgia. So our conference for acro and tumbling is Conference Carolinas, and then we have a few affiliate members that normally would be in the SAC conference, that have become affiliate members for acro and tumbling to be in Conference Carolinas. So those are the teams that we will play every single year.
What is it like, obviously, getting to play your alma mater team of King University?
Oh, it's a lot of fun. It's a little bit different because the coach there is actually not the coach that I played underneath. So the coach that I played underneath left after my senior year. The coach now there has been there, I guess 4 to 5 years now. And me and her have, we've got a great relationship. I think just because she's now the coach there, I used to go there. We talk literally weekly on the phone. She's another great coaching friend of mine. But playing against them is a lot of fun. Obviously, it's really competitive because I'm like, well, I want to go out there and I want to beat my alma mater. I want to do well. But it's a lot of fun because you see similar faces in the crowd as what you saw when I was there. It's the same athletic director, same sports information director, and just seeing them around and giving them a little fist bump, like here and there, and seeing that they still support you even though you're at a different institution, is really special. And just going back there just brings back so many memories and meet days in there. Yeah, it brings back a lot of memories from being there.
Was it like, obviously, getting to compete against Chuan?
Yeah, so this will be our first year competing against them. A lot of the schools in our conference, this will be their first year competing, because they just added in the past year or so. And so I think it's going to be a lot of fun. This will be the first time that we're playing somebody else that's in North Carolina. Usually we're always going to South Carolina or Tennessee or Georgia. So this will be the first time that Mars Hill and Chowan are competing, and they're also in North Carolina. So it'll be fun to have that in-state competition.
Of course, in the future, do you see your conference adding, obviously, Barton and Mount Olive that are already in the conference, but just adding a acrobat and tumbling program to the conference?
Yeah, I don't know who's going to add, who's not. But I would say they've probably definitely thought about it. Once so many schools in the conference are now adding the sport, they have to be.
What does the recruitment process look like for prospective student athletes looking to go into acrobat and tumbling?
Yes. So this is a great topic because we recruit from cheerleading, we recruit from gymnastics, trampoline and tumbling, different sports that are not acrobatics and tumbling. So a lot of our athletes that we're recruiting don't know the recruiting process. If they come from cheer, they're used to going to a tryout and they make the team. Then there's no recruitment process to that. Gymnastics, they're used to being recruited when they're in 7th grade and being committed to somewhere, by the middle of high school. So acro and tumbling is a little bit different where, you're a junior, you're a senior, and you're getting recruited. And the recruitment process is a little bit different probably for every school. For us, it's making that initial contact, which any recruit that wants to get recruited for acrobatics and tumbling, all the head coaches' emails are somewhere online. Email them. We do respond to your emails. We usually respond pretty quickly, especially for recruits. And you just send your film in. We'll invite you out to see campus. When they come to visit campus, we try to get them to come participate in a tryout / practice with the team, or at least watch practice. Try to give them the full experience of you're going to eat in the dining hall. You're going to be around the team. You're going to see what it's really like to be here on campus. And if you really gel with the team, you got good academics, you're a great athlete, then we're probably going to ask you, come sign with us. And it would be the same as any other sport where, or most sports, where in November, they're going to sign their NLI that like second week of November-ish. And so it's the same NCAA rule as most of the other sports.
What are some of the things that you look at in these prospective student athletes when they are going through the process?
Yes. Number one is academics, knowing that is important to them, because at the end of the day, they're leaving here with a degree, they're going to get a job. The acro and tumbling world for them is over. So we need people here that are going to be here for 4 years, not be on probation, be able to compete. So we want people that are serious about their academics. That's like first and foremost, because if you can't even do that, you're never going to make Matt. You're never going to be competing for us if you can't get the academics down. Secondly, I would say is that character. Are you hardworking? Are you dedicated? Are you self-disciplined? Trying to figure out how they mesh with the team. That's a difference also coming from gymnastics to acro and tumbling. Is gymnastics, you're competing and it's just you. Acrobatics and tumbling, you're competing with 28 other individuals. So can you be a team player? Can you put the self-ego throughout the recruiting process? We try to see, are they going to struggle with that? Or is that going to be an area that they're going to leap into and be just fine?
Of course, what does the official visit look like at the Abbey on acrobat and tumbling?
Yeah. Like I mentioned earlier, we normally pre-COVID would be like a 2-day event where we bring the athletes in. We usually start off right away with a campus tour, show them all of campus, show them the dorms, all that good stuff. Then typically they would come and watch a practice or participate in a tryout, just so I can see how they work with the team, see how they do being coached by myself. They can see the sport, try out the sport, because they've never done these skills before either, and just make sure that it's a good fit for them. Then typically after that, I give them time with the athletes to just go eat in the dining hall, go hang out with them. Pre-COVID, they would stay the night and then we get back together the next morning. Now what we've been doing is they just hang out with them for a couple of hours. Then they come back and meet with me. But typically what we want to do is just mainly see campus, get what it's like to be an athlete on this team, on this campus, so that they can get a feel for the college and what it's like, and we can get a feel for how they'll be as an athlete and a student on campus.
What's it like as head coach seeing them fall in love with the Abbey?
Oh, I love when people fall in love with the Abbey. I'm like, yes, someone else has done it. But that is an awesome feeling as well when you know that someone else can see the good work that's going on at the Abbey, and they have that same connection to it that you have. That is like the ultimate athlete right there, because then you know they're going to be connected to it for the 4 years and then beyond after that.
What advice would you give prospective student athletes that are in high school looking to go into acrobat and tumbling in college?
Yes. Yeah. Number one, go to a camp, get experience in the sport, figure out if you like it or not. figure out if it's something that you can be dedicated for the next 4 years. If not, don't even try to go. You'll leave after the first semester because you'll realize that it's not for you and it's not for everyone. So figure out if you love it, figure out if you hate it. Two, go ahead and start reaching out to coaches. Like I said, all of our emails are online. Email us. I personally love when recruits email me. That makes it really simple. I don't have to go find you at some recruiting event. I don't have to go find you at a meet. You're telling me, hey, look at me. I want to come there, or I want to go through this recruiting process at your college. And a lot of our coaches, we like that. We can't be at every meet. We can't be at every recruiting event. So I wouldn't say like wait out for those events, because your dream school or the school that you're meant to be at may not even be there, because there's so many events. We can't be at all of them. So just take it into your own hands and email the coach, send them videos. I would say thirdly, staying in touch. If a coach is responding to you, respond to them in a timely manner with your videos, with your transcript, and just have all that stuff pre-prepared. Have the videos pre-prepared before you email them, have the transcript pre-prepared. And yeah, I mean, I think a lot of the acro coaches in the country, that is what they want. It's just people reaching out to them, showing what they have, and then just staying in contact throughout the recruiting process.
What advice would you give prospective student athletes that are in college now looking to get into acrobat and tumbling on the coaching level?
Yeah. So I would say the advice is that dream is not far-fetched. There are so many opportunities at the college level to walk right into coaching as soon as you graduate. That's what's different about acro and tumbling at this stage than a lot of other sports. So just not being afraid to reach out to people and see if they have an assistant position open, see if you can get some experience somewhere. And then just, like I said, just communicate to me that you want to coach so I can get you into contact with the coaches that you need to be in contact with, and then really start diving into what coaching actually is, because what the athlete sees versus what the coaching world is actually like is completely two different things. So just dive into all the aspects of, recruiting, meet day, all the different aspects of the team management part of it. And just dive into that, see if that's something that you can handle, see if that's something that you're passionate about. You're not just passionate about practice and game day, that you're passionate about all the other aspects of it too. And really just dive into that before you get into a head coaching position. Do that, while you're an assistant, while you're still in college, so you can figure out if it's for you. And then just go for it after that.
What advice would you give future college coaches that aren't already in the system of acrobat and tumbling but want to get into acrobat and tumbling on the coaching level?
Yeah, really just be open to learning about it, be open to all of that. There's a huge learning curve on learning our sport, learning what requirements you have to do during a meet, learning our scoring system, our code of points. All of that is, it can seem very taxing at first if you're coming from a background that isn't acro and tumbling. But if you take that time to really learn about it, there's successful coaches out there that never one day in their life did they compete in the sport of acrobatics and tumbling. So they can do it. It's just a matter of, if you're going to take the time to learn about the sport, to learn the scoring system, learn the code of points, learn about the sport, and really just get some mentors that are already in the acro and coaching world. And just go for it and go for it full out. Don't try to do it like, as a side job. It's a full-time gig, and go into it ready, dedicated, ready to be hardworking. And you'll be just fine.
That's great advice. Where can my listeners find you at on social media along with the Abbey's acrobat and tumbling?
Yeah. So Abbey Acrobatics and Tumbling, we are on Instagram. I think it's Abbey Acro Tumbling. We are also on Facebook. It's just Belmont Abbey Acrobatics and Tumbling. We are on Twitter, Abbey Acro Tumble. But honestly, our Instagram is the best page. We're also on TikTok if you want to follow us on TikTok. But the Instagram, Abbey Acro Tumbling, That's where we post every meet day what our scores are. That's where we post the skills that we're working on, anybody that's signed with us, any kind of update is going to go through that Instagram account. So on there, and then just keeping up with our schedule, our season, our roster at abbeyathletics.com.
Where can my listeners find you at on social media?
Yep, I'm also big Instagram. Really, I don't have a Twitter. Really don't use Facebook that much except for like family photos. Big Instagram, it's mpowers_11.
Thank you again, Coach Emily Powers, for your interview, and best of luck in your future as you begin the acrobat and tumbling at the Belmont Abbey.
Thank you.
You can find Brandon Sports Talk on Facebook at Brandon Sports Talk, Instagram at Brandon Sports Talk, Twitter at Talk_Brand, and you can find me on YouTube at Brandon Sports Talk. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you again, Coach Emily Powers, for your interview, and best of luck in your future.
You've been watching Brandon Sports Talk. Please feel free to like, share, and subscribe to Brandon Sports Talk on social media and on YouTube.